Take another terrifying journey into the world of mystery, suspense, and terror. Let's turn on all the lights, lock the doors and windows, sit back and enjoy this evening's chilling tale.
All right, well, thank you, Shroud, and thank you, folks at home or wherever it is that you may be, for tuning your dial to the Eek channel. My name is James, and I am joined by my co-host on the left,
Josh,
and my other co-host on the right,
Cody.
If you're new to the show, the first half of us is discussing a horror-related topic. Then we will take a break in the middle. We're going to go watch a movie, and then after that, we're going to come right back, give you our fresh, hot off the press hot takes and our immediate review to determine if the movie gets the original Eek seal of quality. This is episode 17 of Eekcast, and today we are discussing The X-Files.
Oh, snap. That's all I got. X-Files.
So I guess let's start. We all three really, really, really like The X-Files.
I would go as far as love.
Yeah.
Simple as that. It's a simple love. I love The X-Files. So, my history, I started watching X-Files really late in life, which is, I feel like, it goes right along with my story, but It's kind of strange. I feel like it was, like, going back and watching it, it's like, wow, my parents were very protective or conservative or whatever you want to say.
There were a few things that I have recollection of my parents commenting on me watching as a child, but one of them very young, because they threw this out the window pretty early on. Like I said, I went and saw The Craft in theaters, but like early on, I remember like it was like a weird uncle figure who was like a friend of my parents, and like went over to his house one time, and like just the Sci-Fi Channel was on.
Oh yeah,
back when it was called the Sci-Fi Channel.
Oh yeah,
spelled correctly.
Yes.
And X-Files like music, and I distinctly remember my mom being like, "You can't watch Sci-Fi Channel, X-Files, Twilight Zone, no Sci-Fi Channel."
Dang.
I was probably like 3, 4, 5 years old, like somewhere in there. It was a very, very early memory, but I didn't watch. I was just a little too young to hop on the X-Files train, and with no one in my life really on the X-Files train, I didn't watch the show until it all went up on Netflix, and I watched it when I was 24 or whatever.
Oh, see the theme. Going back, I wasn't allowed to watch it.
Yeah,
but I remember just being scared of the idea. That's probably why my parents said it wasn't that they didn't care if I watched. They just didn't. They knew that I was a big old pansy, couldn't handle it. And still to this day, due to, I feel like, nostalgia, like the theme song still gets me.
Yeah.
It still gets me.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Oh my God. X-Files, let's go.
So what I think is amazing about the X-Files is it really just kickstarted this whole... I mean, we can talk a lot about how it kickstarted television in a completely different conversation, but it just seeped into every part of just 90s culture in some way. Like, even though I didn't watch the X-Files, like I can look back now on like things that I liked as a late elementary school student, you know, like 5th grade and even going into like middle school and stuff, like things that I thought were cool, that it was all influenced by X-Files. Like Alienware computers, like the guy who started it said, "Oh, I really love the X-Files," so I called it Alienware, little Alienware or Alien Head logo. Like it's just, it was so much of what was like cool kind of subculture. I remember I was probably in like 3rd grade, and I had this stupid fake laptop that like just had like you opened it up and it just had like a it was basically like a
Leapfrog.
essentially it was a step above Leapfrog.
Okay.
But I mean, yeah, it had like stupid games on it for like learning the capitals of all the states and like just really stupid
Was
shit
it
like
blue?
that. Mine was gray.
Okay.
But anyway, I was always a little too old for myself. I'm an old soul, if you will, even as a child.
Yeah.
And so when I was in like 3rd grade, I really wanted to be like I was in like 8th grade. And so I sticker bombed my fake laptop.
Yeah, you did.
With all these different stickers. But I remember I would seek out the alien head stickers. Anywhere I could find an alien head, I wanted to cover this laptop in little alien heads.
Yeah,
because aliens were cool. I remember I got a alien candle one year for my birthday. It was it was a glow in the dark green alien head with black eyes. Like it was a shaped candle. I lit it and it melted and it looked crazy. Like I just loved anything with an alien on it.
The only 8-year-old to ever receive a candle for his birthday.
I'm telling you.
It's incredible. I'm
telling you. It was
you
probably
and all the grandmas in the world.
Well, it's probably from my my hippy dippy sister, and it was probably some kind of like she probably got from like Earth Magic or something, you know, like it's some kind of incense, all natural alien candle with
real aliens in it.
healing crystal properties, and probably did a spell or something. I don't know. She was really into all that kind of stuff.
Little moon rock in the bottom.
Meteorites.
Yep.
Okay, so I guess if someone's listening and they don't know what the X-Files is, I did want to give us a quick kind of rundown. So the X-Files is an American science fiction drama television series created by the almighty Chris Carter. The original series ran for 9 seasons from 1993 to 2002 on the Fox network. There were 202 episodes. In 2016, for season 10, they brought the show back for a 6-episode series. And then because that was so successful, they brought it back again in 2018 for a 10-episode series. So 11 total seasons of the X-Files. There have also been 2 films, one of which we are going to watch tonight. So the first one is The X-Files. Sometimes with the subtitle Fight the Future, sometimes not. Not really sure the story behind that. But the X-Files movie took place as a part of the TV show continuity. And then in 2008 was a standalone film called The X-Files, I Want to Believe. And so that came out 6 years after the original series had stopped airing. So like that alone was like a miracle bring back. Like this show's been dead for 6 years. Yeah. And like the fan base, Fox,
it was
saw the money in it.
It was the Comic-Con panel, what the 10-year, whatever it was.
Yeah.
They got back together and everybody was like, oh yeah, we really love the X-Files. And then the producers and everybody were like, hey, yeah, if you want to, write Fox, do it.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And so
I didn't know that.
2008, they got the movie, and then somehow 8 years after that, we get 6 seasons or 6 episodes of the show again. Like,
let's go.
It's literally, there's so many shows out there that are the show that never die. Like, you have shows like Community that are canceled so many times. Shows like Twilight Zone that have been canceled so many times. Shows like Star Trek that tried, got canceled, brought it back for Next Generation, became one of the biggest shows of our entire lifetime. Like, but X-Files is certainly in that conversation.
What? And they finally, so you got to be kind of a serious like TV person to kind of understand this reference, but there are very few shows that make it to 11 seasons. And there are very few, and I don't know all the facts behind X-Files, but there are even fewer that have gone 11 and won like multiple Emmys. So I don't know, like that would be an interesting fact, but to even make it to that kind of ever elusive like 11th season, like that's really interesting. And like obviously it took kind of a long journey to get there, but they did it. They got it, and I feel like, again, like I'm not an OG X-Filer. And I get that, so I'm not going to even try to
Let's
speak.
not use that as the.
Oh, yeah.
Let's
that's
not,
true.
Let's
Yeah,
not
that's-
use
yeah.
X-Filer
Yeah.
as the noun
Yeah.
to describe an X-Files fan.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know what they're called because I'm not OG. But
It's fine. Let's just move on.
yeah, okay, we'll keep moving. Yep. I don't even remember what I was saying.
X-File.
I'm not. Oh God, no. There's so many things happening in my head. But I feel like, at least for me, which may be even more of an impressive feat, they never lost my interest. Like going back through and rewatching the series, and then watching the new seasons coming out. Like, I never thought like, oh, they jumped the shark.
We
And
talked,
there
we
are
talked
weird
a lot
episodes,
about
but
season 10. Did you ever finish season 10?
I did. Yep.
It gets weird.
It does, but like maybe it's the premise. Maybe I mean like, but there are early episodes that get weird, and like my argument is like when like I'm trying to think like Mulder is like Scully's not on the show, and he like somehow like falls in love in one episode, like falls in love with a vampire chick.
Oh yeah.
And then they have to
That's
like
a weird episode.
like I mean come
That's
on
in like what, like season 2 or 3?
2 or 3,
Yeah.
and like it's a horrific episode, and like
It's like this weird like underworld come to real
Yes.
life. Like yeah.
and so like
It's a weird episode.
when we get weird, and like there are seasons where like it goes down a weird little path, and it's like, what is happening? And you think like, oh, this gets really weird, or it gets like too realistic. Like we get really involved in like Scully's like family life.
Yeah.
You're like, what is happening? Is this a soap?
Yeah.
And then so yeah, season 10 gets weird, but I feel like that's a little bit more recency bias.
Yeah.
Whereas like there are weird early episodes, and because I've watched it later in life,
Yeah.
I can call it exactly how I see it. Like there are weird and bad, specifically like Monster of the Week episodes, where it's like, oh please get out of here, that's horrible.
Yeah, which kind of became the running gag is like, you know, there's so again, if you're not super familiar with the show, there are Monster of the Week episodes, which essentially are kind of self-contained adventures for the most part, and so the whole episode will center around like one case with one kind of mysterious thing happening, and then at the end, it doesn't really fall into anything else that's happening in the show. It just doesn't really necessarily have an effect, but obviously, especially with shows in the 90s, you're expected to be on every week, and you're expected to have a certain amount of episodes per season. It's not the Twilight Zone that we have today, where it's like, we're going to make as many episodes as we want, and all of them are completely different lengths, and we're just doing whatever we want because who cares? Like, no, they're filling very specific time on network television, live broadcast, all that stuff. So those Monster of the Week episodes are juxtaposed with what the fandom tends to call the mythology episodes, which are really telling this whole big. I'm like double fisting.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say anything, but it's relatively impressive sight to watch you talk with your hands while you have 2 beers in your hand.
So the mythology episodes are kind of telling this really good kind of political drama mixed with sci-fi of like aliens have been to Earth.
The ultimate conspiracy theory, but because it's so deep, it's layer on layer on layer. So it's like it starts out simply like aliens have been to Earth and someone's covering up, but then this storyline evolves and it just keeps going deeper. But it's almost like it's the classic conspiracy theory because we always get Mulder's take before anybody else,
right?
And so it's always with the end in mind, which that's the danger of all conspiracy theories. Like anybody who actually analyzes them and listens to them will tell you, like that's the danger. If you begin with the end in mind, you can always build your own story, which is exactly what he does, which makes an incredible TV show. Makes it really difficult to like talk with crazy Uncle Tim at the family reunion because you just want to slap him around and say like you're really dumb and stop distrusting the fluoride in your water. Hey, for those people who are out there who don't like fluoride, that's you. But
H2 flow.
H2 flow, baby. But for a television, it's incredible. Specifically the way that the X-Files do it with the Mulder Scully kind of back and forth, the yin and the yang. Incredible TV.
Yep. So one little tidbit that I uncovered is that Chris Carter specifically wanted to reverse gender stereotypes by making Mulder the believer and Scully a skeptic. So that was kind of cool.
I think that's really neat.
Yeah.
And I would argue...
And that he's doing that in 1993.
Yeah, and I would argue... Now, and I guess this maybe isn't too much of a conversation with the gender roles. Mm-hmm. But I would one point that I specifically wanted to bring up tonight is episodes without one of them are bad.
Yeah.
Like this show...
They're not as good.
There are... I was trying to go through all the shows that I've been a fan of. I've religiously watched. And there are a lot of shows and episodes that hinge on one person. Mm-hmm. And I typically appreciate that. A deeper dive into this person. And you can go to... And a lot of half-hour sitcoms, maybe those don't count, but those are the first that come to mind. Everybody Loves Raymond. I don't mind a Frank Barone episode.
Sure.
Deeper dive into Grumpy Old Man. Mm-hmm. Frasier Crane, or Frasier, I don't mind a deeper dive into Marty Crane. Mm-hmm. Again, Grumpy Old Man figure. But it's a character that we don't get a lot of screen time. Whenever we do a deeper dive in X-Files of one character, and it just gets too heavy. You have to have the back and forth of the believer and the skeptic. Yeah. And without that, I just feel like this show, when it falls into a rut, it's because of that. Mm. And I get
those characters are just written so well.
Yeah. And I'm sure it's a storytelling technique. Maybe a truer fan is
part of it, is storytelling. But I mean, honestly, we can look back now and we can say that a lot of those things have to do with just real world problems with. I'm gonna make a statement here. I'm not saying that this is a problem, but I mean, Scully had a baby.
Yeah.
During I think season 2. So I mean, she was kind of written out of a lot of it because she was on maternity leave. She was going through all that, dealing with her family and all that kind of stuff. And then I mean, Duchovny has tried to quit being Fox Mulder 6 different times, and they basically just keep reeling him back in. And so it was actually really funny. Gillian Anderson on the season 11, she just kind of come out and said, "Hey, we're hanging up Scully's hat," pretty much saying, "I don't care how much money Fox offers me. We're done. I'm done playing this character." I love this character. It's defined so much of her life and her career. Yeah. But hey, it's over. And whenever Duchovny was interviewed about her quitting, he was just "Well, I tried to quit 4 different times, and they would just keep making the show without me, and then offer me more money, I'd be back in." It's so I don't know. Yep. I don't think I'm ever getting away from it. Yes. And so they've interviewed Chris Carter and stuff about a potential season 12, and he says, even though it's a lot about the yin and yang and all of that, ultimately he set out to tell Scully's story, and so a show without Scully isn't the X-Files. Yeah. So obviously not saying yes or no either way, it's not possible, it is possible, but he seems to be of the belief that he's not interested in doing an X-Files without a Dana Scully.
Interesting.
A Dana Scully.
Yeah. Oh. See what you did there.
Which has been proposed.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. Which if you did, you use a different actress, you could even flash back now.
Could.
We could. Yeah, no. I'm just saying you could do spinoffs. There's a lot of stuff you could do. Yeah. A lot of different things in the bottle there.
Well, and when you're dealing with the availability of an X-Files universe, and that's, you're dealing with alternate dimensions. You're dealing with alternate worlds. You could
do anything.
So yeah,
we could get an entire mini series of. Never mind. I'm not gonna spoil things because there's a lot of show that people may have not seen, so I probably shouldn't go too deep.
Don't go too deep.
There's a moment in the show where Scully has some missing time, and you could potentially do an entire miniseries of what was actually happening during that time. Who knows?
Definitely.
Who frickin' knows?
Yep.
Josh, we haven't let you talk at all. So, what's your kind of your history with the
so
X-Files?
I guess I would be an OG X File TV watcher.
I like that. Much more descriptive.
I started watching it with my dad. Like most things that I've talked about, it all starts with my dad. I think I was right around the age where this was one of the first things he kind of let me watch because there were parts that were very scary and the government stuff that I really didn't understand. When I was just looking back at all the episodes and the things that I remember, the overarching government mythos and all that stuff with the conspiracy, yeah, it was there, but at that age, I remembered the monsters more so.
Absolutely.
So some of my favorite episodes are super memorable for usually the individual ones. Like obviously, I was aware of kind of how the series started and how it went and how everything pieced together. But for me, it was just those individual moments that were so memorable. And then I'm pretty sure I saw this movie in theaters with my dad too. I'm not sure. But it was so weird for me to see a TV show that had a movie because I can't think of any at that time that really had that whole thing going together.
Yeah.
So for me, it was just this huge crowning thing. And then I watched the following seasons until X-Files ended the first time. But for me, the X-Files just holds a super special place in my heart that, made me really excited when we were going to do this.
What are some of your favorite episodes? Do you have the
Oh yeah,
you happen to have those on hand?
So most of them, I couldn't tell you exactly what happens in them.
Sure.
But
If you're OG, I bow to that. Like
so
your parents let you watch this,
so
or you're old enough to be able to not need your parental supervision.
So I actually talked to my dad on the phone, and one of my favorites, he even said, "Yeah, that wasn't very good, but I remember."
Yeah, you were a stupid kid. So
the first one it's called Triangle, and it's where, I guess I could explain it, but Mulder goes through the Bermuda Triangle, gets transported to the 40s on this Nazi ship, and they have to go in and save him.
That is so classic of like what you as a kid thought was cool,
and it was so
and your
cool.
dad was probably like, "God, this episode
this
sucks.
is the worst."
And filler.
Then it had the I remember like they'd show like two different views of like the same hallway, and it'd show like modern Scully searching for him, and then like old timey Scully wearing whatever they wore in the 40s. I don't know.
Speedos.
Yeah.
I like that you just agreed it.
Yeah. Yep.
Another one that I remember because of Tony Shalhoub
Oh.
was called Soft Light.
Yes.
Where this guy is working with dark matter. It changes his body, and his shadow basically makes you spontaneously combust.
That's an incredible episode.
And the ending of it was very, very poignant to me as a kid. Just seeing this guy, like the tear runs down his face, and you don't really know what happens to him, and left me in suspense. Pete's a vampire. Let's be honest, it's like the best. It's the best. It has the redhead from The Big Green, which I loved, and it had two of them telling the same story in a different way. I'll do like two more. I'll do three more.
Yeah,
Another one was
keep going.
So there's a giant mushroom underground that has this hallucinogenic spores, and Mulder goes searching for this couple that disappears, and unbeknownst to the audience, he's under the effects. So everything that happens from that point is the hallucination. And the best part is that there's a point when they both realize they're in the hallucination, and they get out. And then Mulder and Scully are talking to Skinner, their boss, and explain everything. And Mulder goes,
"Oh, hang on. Let's put a pin real quick in finishing that episode. Let's just say, I believe that yes, the yin and yang of the show is Mulder and Scully, but there is a holy trinity of the show that includes Skinner.
Yeah,
because there are moments of that character throughout 11 seasons that almost make him, almost elevate him in my heart of like, oh shit, no, like he's the heart and soul of the show.
Yeah.
So like, just for those that don't know, Skinner,
very important.
legit.
Yep.
Also, he was the host on the remember the magic show that they unmasked all the tricks? He was the host on it.
Really?
Yeah. Do you remember that?
I remember the
It was
show.
on,
I
it was
didn't
on
know he
Fox.
was
It
the
was
host.
like Behind the Mask or something.
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
I remember.
Oh yeah.
I watched all of them.
They had the magician do all the tricks with a mask on because he would get like excommunicated from the Magicians Guild or whatever. Anywho, so to finish that episode,
Devil, I'm not watching that.
dude, it's so good. So and then at the end when they're talking to Skinner, they go, "Isn't it weird that all of a sudden we just got out of it?" And then Mulder goes, "We're still in it," and Scully doesn't believe him, so he shoots Skinner in the face or in the chest, and he starts oozing out the mushroom stuff.
Yes.
And then they actually get out. And that was awesome.
Yes.
Let's see. Oh, there's one with the trees bleed. That's the really bad one. My dad said was dumb. The last one I'll say is it's like Clyde Brackner or Bruckner. I can't remember the title of it, but that's part of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it has actually the guy for the old man from Everybody Loves Raymond.
Oh yeah.
the dad.
Yep.
And he's a psychic who can see how people are going to die. And there's this serial killer who's killing psychics. And it's just, he won an Emmy for it, for his performance in it. And I don't want to spoil that one at all, but that one is so good.
So good. So good.
Yeah, I love this show.
There are so many, and as I should have had us like write down our favorites. I wasn't even thinking of that as an option because like as you're talking about it, so many episodes are coming to mind.
Yep.
And like as much as I love the show, like I it is a very long show.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 12 seasons or 11 seasons.
Plus our episodes.
Yeah.
That's a lot to get
It's a
through.
lot.
Yeah, and even 9 seasons if you're only watching the original series. And so, like, I mean, the memories that I have the most of, because I would start the show from the pilot, and then I would watch and watch and watch and watch, and then maybe I would, like, drop off or lose interest, or some other new flashy show would pop up, and then I would kind of take on that, and then I'd restart back at the pilot at another time and watch and watch and watch and watch. So, like, most of my memories and the ones that I just know the best and I can immediately recollect are in, like, the first 2 seasons.
Yeah.
And so, like, it's just making me, like, I'm probably going to rewatch the whole series after doing this episode.
Yep. Yep. The sign of a good show. Of a great show. The sign of a great show.
You know what the sign of a bad show is? A laugh track.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Don't think I can argue with that.
There's a choice few, but that's usually because that's from the era they were in.
Right.
You shouldn't have one now. Just saying.
Oh,
Continue.
Agreed. Okay, so we're getting a little long into the time, so we could jump to feature. But I just want to let it go. Like, we love this show, so if this episode's a little long, I'm sorry. But is there anything else anybody wants to say before we move on?
I've never seen any of the movies.
I have never seen either of the movies either.
Oh!
This is my first time watching the movie, and so the first movie takes place directly after the last episode of season 5, before the first episode of season 6. So I will at least give this part before we go into the feature, and it's not spoilery because I haven't actually watched the movie. But so the end of season 5 is when the cigarette smoking man torches Mulder's office, effectively destroying all evidence, all research, everything.
And then it's just the X.
Stop.
There's no files. They've been burned. Like,
I hate
and then season 6 begins with Mulder and Scully presenting some things to some higher ups of trying to let them reopen the X-Files, and then which it's been closed down in the series before, and they've had to make pleas to have it reopened. And this time they essentially say no, but Mulder's like, well, we have this hard evidence of this event that happened, and like it's scientific, and you have to say yes after you see this. And he starts describing it, and it's like this story of like a spaceship that's like buried under a bunch of frozen ice, and like then like Scully got stung by a bee and contracted some kind of alien like virus and like all this stuff, and I'm like, what the freaking heck is he talking about? And those are all the things that happen in the movie.
Oh,
So
makes so much sense now.
like I remember, I went back and I watched the 2 episodes, and I remember the first time I saw the first
so
episode
much
of season
sense.
6, I was like, what bees? Was there a bees episode? What's he... It's frozen under... What? And it's the movie. I didn't know the movie actually bridged the gap between 2 seasons. So
Nope.
I'm really excited to watch this movie. I'm really excited to see this story. Again, so this movie is the mythological episode. It adds to the entire mythos. Like, this is part of the conspiracy theory storyline of the show.
Syndicate.
The second movie in 2008, I Want to Believe, they basically just took a Monster of the Week episode and
expanded
out to be 2 hours. So it doesn't have quite as great reviews for that reason alone. But anyway, so moving on.
And now for our feature presentation.
The X-Files, the movie, also known as The X-Files Fight the Future, is a 1998 American science fiction thriller film directed by Rob Bowman. Or Bowman. I don't really know.
Could be Bowman. That's how my family spells Bowman.
You got Bowmans in your family?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Maybe
Chris
we're
Carter.
related. Sorry.
I hope so. Chris Carter wrote the screenplay. It is the first feature film based on Carter's television series, The X-Files, which revolves around mysterious unsolved cases and the FBI agents who are solving them. So this is the first time that I've looked up budget numbers for a film that we're going to watch, and I think that's a very interesting thing for us to look at moving forward. So the budget for this film was $66 million. And its worldwide gross was $105 million.
Okay.
So, the U.S. gross, I think, was something like $88 million in that area. So,
I'll take $88 million.
but on an investment of $66 million
right.
for most studios, this movie did okay.
Yeah.
So, Josh, you want to take us away with the back of the box?
I would love to. 37,000 years ago, a deadly secret was buried in a cave in Texas. Now, the secret has been unleashed, and its discovery may mean the end of all humanity.
All right, well, we'll get back to you guys in about an hour and 40 minutes or so with our thoughts on The X-Files Fight the Future. To the X-Files.
To the X-Files!